Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you to the Launchpad Job Club. This is such a fantastic event. Hopefully you guys are getting a lot from this. So thanks for inviting me to speak. Let me do just a quick introduction about who I am. My name is Pionkowski. I'm the head of global recruitment for Bazaar Voice. For those of you who don't know who Bazaar Voice is, hopefully I'll have a couple minutes toward the end of my presentation to be able to inform you about what we do and who we are. But in a nutshell, we're a local technology company here in town, homegrown. I'm also an industrial organizational psychologist by trade, and I'm an emerging technologies and entrepreneurship geek, if you will. That's where I spend my free time, and I'm wrapping up a second master's degree focused on entrepreneurial studies in the technology space. I've been in recruiting and HR for over 10 years, so I've been doing this a long time in multitude of different industries. So high tech in both the software and hardware areas, in retail, and in civil infrastructure. So what I'll be sharing with you today really crosses all industry lines. So hopefully you get some benefit out of this. Let me just talk about my game plan today. So I'm going to try and keep it short, provide some tips that hopefully you can use just right out the gate tonight as you go through interviews with different employers, even at this job fair. Tell you a little bit about Bazaar Voice if we have time. And then I want to make sure to give you guys plenty of time for some Q&A because as I've sat in your seat many times, that's usually been the most valuable part of these sorts of presentations for me. So with that being said, let's hop in. So I think that let's start with the basics here. A point that I really want to get across is the interview is a two-way conversation. And I think that for most of us, we kind of forget that. You get caught up in the excitement of being at a job interview that you think you really want that job, and you kind of forget that you're interviewing your next employer as well. So keep that in mind as we talk today. We're looking for a fit here, a fit between your needs and your future organization's needs. So I know it's very basic, but for new interviewers, new people interviewing to the job market, sometimes they get lost in this. So why is fit so important? You can't ask a psychologist to get in front of a room without putting some data on the screen. So a well-known psychologist did a meta-analysis, which is a gathering of a bunch of different studies, and found that actually finding a good fit between the employer and the employee causes a lot of good things to happen. They're more likely to retain that person, so you're more likely to stay at that employer. You identify and align with that organization a lot more. You have a higher commitment, so these are all very positive things. You have better mental and physical health. Superior job performance, do a lot better on the job. And then a greater job satisfaction. And really what that equates to is being happier. So happier at your job. So all good things. So your turn. Here's where a little participation is going to be asked. Before you can determine whether an employer is a good job fit, you got to rewind and you got to think, so what's most important to me as the job seeker? What am I looking for in my next employer? And get a really solid grasp of what that is. So take 30 seconds and think about your top 3 things that you consider. I see some of you writing that down. That's excellent. What you consider for your next employer. What are those 3 things? So take just a couple seconds, and then I'm going to ask for a little bit of participation. I have some sweet baseball caps that I will give away if you're willing to participate a little bit. So does anybody want to volunteer their top 3 things they consider when looking for an employer of choice? Ma'am?
Flexibility.
Okay, flexibility.
That they're involved in the community.
Okay, community involvement.
And that was put another word, but that it's a thoughtful, conscious, positive culture.
Okay.
Appreciation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I would say somewhere where you're motivated but also challenged at the same time to reach your fullest potential.
Okay.
Teamwork or somewhere where teamwork is valued, but also they have a good balance of working independently.
Mm-hmm.
And how she said community relations, being engaged with the community, not just being a strong brand name, but also being, engaging in community service.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. Baseball cap. I'm gonna toss it. Can you catch? There you go. Thank you very much. Those are all great things. Yes.
Core values, culture, community.
Okay. Core values, culture, and community. Fantastic. Thank you. So think about what's most important to you. And what I did was I just listed off a ton of potential answers that you could have on your sheet of paper or in your head. The job itself. The job itself is super interesting to you, the activities of your day-to-day, the values of an organization, the mission of the company, right? The strategic plan, the professional growth opportunities, right? The continued education, abilities to advance yourself, the community involvement. We heard that a couple different times. The benefits that they offer. Right? That's a big deal. The perks, you hear that a lot in Austin Tech. They have good perks. The work-life balance, we heard that, right? The corporate culture, heard some of that as well. The industry reputation, right? You got the Googles, the IBMs, the big names, the reputations. The wellness component, potentially. And then the company stability. How are their financials? What's their outlook on their future? Those can all be things that are very important to you. I would challenge you to really streamline that into 3 to 5 things that are really important for you so that you can do a really, really good job of evaluating your employer as you go throughout an interview process and discovery stage. So let's talk through that. So as I said, your mission in the interview process is to determine your fit with the employer throughout the whole interview experience. Okay? I'm going to stress that. Throughout the whole interview experience. So we're going to walk through what that means here. First, you want to research and prepare. And what do you want to research and prepare? So you know what's important to you. We got that covered. And the couple key things that you want to uncover is, are you a good fit professionally to be successful in that job? Are your knowledge, skills, abilities, past experience, personality, is it a good fit for the job, right? Are you personally aligned with that employer, right? So in other words, are your values in alignment with that employer's values, okay? And then does the employer's value proposition resonate with you? Does it motivate you? Is it compelling to you? To really want to contribute to the success of that organization. Okay, those are the 3 main buckets. Value proposition? Yeah, actually we're going to dive into all 3 of these here in just a second. So, because I'm a representative of Bazaar Voice, I'm going to use Bazaar Voice as my case study here. So we have gone ahead and said, for our ideal candidate, here are the aspects that we look for. We want somebody to bring an attitude of winning, right? We want someone who leans into challenging situations, right? We want somebody who embraces and seeks innovation. Innovation is key here. Exercises courage, but using a calculated approach. Right? Calculated risk. Builds collaborative relationships across the organization and is optimistic and looks for solutions. This is no secret. This is published. This is out there for you as a job seeker to say, do I fit that? Does that feel good to me? Is that who I am? Is that a part of a team that I want to be a part of? Are your values aligned? So here's an example of our values. If you stop by our office, you're going to see these values everywhere you look, right? 7 core values: passion, innovation, authenticity, respect, teamwork, generosity, performance. These are the pillars in which day to day, myself, my team, our organization, we're working with these values in mind in everything that we do. We hold these very close. So can you relate with these? Is this something that you relate with? And what's the employer value proposition? What's going to motivate me to work? Here's some insight into ours. We believe in delighting our customers, right? Very customer focused. We believe in doing what really, really matters, right? We believe in those 7 values that I just showcased. And we believe in the power of bringing people together, right? That's what you can be a part of as you join Bazaar Voice, right? So how do you research this information? Before you start the interview process, while you're in the interview process, how do you do that? As a recruiter, and I recruit for all levels in the organization, have for years at multiple companies, ask your recruiter. They are a talent advisor. They usually have the most insight, potentially, out of anybody you will talk to, because they work with these folks day to day. They know what they're looking for. They know what the organization's all about. They're the person selling it, right? Ask your talent advisor. They're there to inform you, to act as your champion, okay? So I stress that because I don't think that it happens enough. And this is my day-to-day, right? Tap your professional network. Usually, if it's not an immediate connection, 2, 3 connections down the line, somebody's either worked there or has a relative or a friend or someone in their network that has worked for that organization. You can get that firsthand insight into, is this just a bunch of marketing, or is that really what it feels like in the organization? Is that true? Surf LinkedIn. Look at their company page. Read about their perks. Read about their community involvement. It's all online, or should be if they're doing a good job of it, right? Look at their current workforce. Look at the profiles of the people that work there. Look and see what their interests are. Look and see what they have to say about the company and the employer, right? There's a ton of social media channels at this point. So I'll show you a clip from our YouTube channel here in just a minute, but there is tons of information. All of the slides that I showed you, there's more engaging ways that we go to market with those messages to make sure we're attracting the right people. And companies that do this well, it's out there. All you have to do is just spend a little time and do that research. It's really going to shine through, and it's going to make sure that you're determining the right fit, right? Check out the employer's reputation online. If you haven't been to Glassdoor, go to Glassdoor before you entertain any job, seriously. You will get insights, the good, the bad, the ugly, on an employer. And take it with a grain of salt as well. But compare that real life feedback from people who have either been there or interviewed there. And little do most people know, the interview experience is out there on Glassdoor as well. So that's a new feature. In some companies, that's really great news. Some companies, that's not so great news. So read it, know what to expect, and take advantage of that. It's out there for a reason. Employee testimonials are also good. So if you go out to our career site, for example, you can read testimonials from engineering employees that are in our R&D team, individuals throughout the organization, and again, get further insight into that working with that employer, being a part of that organization, who they are, what their backgrounds are. And then please, if you don't do anything else, please come prepared to ask questions in your interview. I cannot stress this enough, and I'm talking at all levels. It is shocking to me that at the end of an interview session, when someone asks if there's questions, you I am telling you, I can assure you it happens daily, that there is no questions. Please come prepared. And then also, we want you as interviewers, as the employer, to be jotting notes and have questions very relevant. It shows us that you're engaged, that you're interested in us. So please come prepared with some questions, as well as take notes throughout that interview process. Like, they're willing to tell you. They're there. They want that connection with you. And remember that chart that I showed you, the middle ground? That's what we're looking for. Is there engagement? Is there a fit in our conversations? Yes?
I had an interview one time where it's almost at the end, and I think the slots are small enough to where if you need to be sensitive to time, that you probably don't want to ask too many.
Sure.
And so if you're at the end, do you ask like, well, I know it's about closing time or but you just ask me if I have any questions, but should I entertain that?
Sure, absolutely. Do you mind if I get back to that here right at the end of my talk? I'll take Q&A, and that's a really good point. I want to give you a couple strategies for that. That happens often. 3 minutes? Oh my goodness. All right, let me power through. So here's just some sample interview questions that you can ask the employer sitting across the desk. Again, there's a ton of examples online. I'm happy to talk with you afterwards or anytime about potential questions to determine this fit. But here are some sample questions. So for example, job fit. Are my skills, is my personality, am I an ideal candidate profile for your company? Most likely if you're sitting there and they've gone through the entire process to get you on site in a face-to-face interview, most likely that you are. The company performance. Tell me about your company strategy. Tell me about your product roadmap. Those sorts of questions to really dig down deeper to figure out, what is the 2-year goal or 2-year plan. And then culture fit. Tell me about the team environment. What do you enjoy most from working here, right? What do you like about your day-to-day job? Really get into that level deeper. To answer your question, I would recommend that you leave those questions with the recruiter. You want to fit in and be respectful to that person, to the interviewer's time, and fit in as many good, solid questions as you possibly can. And in your mind, really quick, you can kind of stack rank those. But then your recruiter, if you are working with a good recruiter, it's their job to go field those answers and get back with you, or connect you with that interviewer for more time afterwards. And so it happens all the time. It's something that it's on you to ask, and they should be able to provide that information. Yeah, sure. So I won't go too far into who Bazaar Voice is. We do have a booth outside. My colleague Sarah, who's a total rock star, is out there right now fielding questions. I'll also be out there for the next hour or so. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Happy to talk with you. Hopefully, I'll be back to do some more on this topic and many others of your wishing, as I think the Job Club here is just a totally cool opportunity for us to connect. But we do have a lot of different job openings. Here's where you would find that. If I have a minute, I'll take another question. I got about 5 seconds. Here's my contact information. Again, you can get a hold of me. You can find out more about Bazaar Voice through any of those channels, like I said. We're definitely out